and welcome to this episode of Crate Conversations. I'm joined today by one of our councilmen, actually Council Vice President, Derrick Ambrosino. Thanks for joining me today.
Good morning.
I thought it would be a good idea for us to meet some of our council people so you know what they're all about and why they love brick so much, just like I do. So welcome to the show today. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very good. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah. So I guess a little bit about you first. So, how long have you lived in brick? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I've lived in brick pretty much my whole life, right? So more than 40 years, I'm ashamed to say at this point.
Not much more, though.
My parents have been in brick and are still in brick as well. I live here with my wife of more than 20 years and our 3 kids. So we've got 3 kids that are in brick schools right now. Harper is 13 and a half. Portia is going to be 12. And Leo is going to turn 10, actually on Valentine's Day.
Oh.
So next week is his
almost
birthday.
Happy birthday then.
Yes, almost happy birthday.
Fantastic. And so you have been on council since October of 2022.
That's right, about a year and a half now.
Yeah. And so what do you think?
It's a lot of work, right? I think it's very rewarding work. It's very fulfilling work. But it is a lot of hard work, as you well know, right? There's a lot that goes into running the town and helping the good people of the administration run the town. And I'm proud to be able to participate and serve the public in this way.
That's great. So as a council member, what are some of the things that you do?
Well, as a council member, because people ask me this all the time, I like to describe the council's role as sort of being like the board of directors for the business of the town. If the mayor were the CEO and maybe the business administrator were the COO of the town, the chief operating officer, the council is there as the board of directors. So in reality, our responsibility is to approve some of what the town wants to do. Certain things that the folks that actually run the town want to do, they need to come to the town council for approval. And that's what you see happening at town council meetings, essentially. So whether there's business to be conducted, budgets to be approved, expenditures to be approved, contracts to be approved, a lot of those things require town council approval. And the other thing that the town council does is occasionally they may review or adjust what is the municipal code, right? So, essentially the rules of what's allowed in town and how the town operates. Those are ordinances, right? We refer to those as ordinances. So sometimes the town council might have to amend or change the ordinances based on changing circumstances or what's best for everybody in town.
Right. Yeah, I used to always say when I was on council that we paid the bills, basically.
That's right.
We were in charge of paying the bills.
Most of what we do is approving the expenditure of money.
Yeah, making sure that everybody, has what they need. So I know as a council person, because I was on council for 8 years as well, that you are on different committees. So what are some of the committees you serve on?
So there's a variety of committees that all of the council people kind of maintain. 3 of which I participate in. One is the Business and Finance Committee, where essentially we're reviewing budget and some of the budgetary needs and some of the monetary business of the town. The other is the Land Use Committee. So a lot of things might come before the Land Use Committee with regard to how essentially land is used throughout the township. And I actually chair the Public Safety Committee. The Public Safety Committee works pretty extensively with the police department, of course, but it goes well beyond just the police's role in town. It involves things like traffic safety, fire and emergency services, and those sorts of topics as well. So it's those 3 committees.
Yeah. I remember I had public safety is one that I did not ever get the chance to serve on. I'm lucky as mayor, I get to speak with the police officers all the time now. But I do remember land use being the one committee that I think I learned the absolute most about how things work in town. I have to be honest with you, it was overwhelming my first year on it, and by the time I was on it year 3 and 4, I really had a handle on, how things work with regard to the property in the town and how it's used and what we can do with it, essentially.
That's essentially it.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
And the committees are interesting, right? Because a lot of folks may participate in or come to town council meetings, or maybe they view them on Brick TV. Or maybe they view them after the fact on YouTube. What you see is the town council essentially voting on resolutions, sometimes ordinance changes, but resolutions at those meetings. All of that business that ends up on a town council agenda typically is reviewed in one of these committees beforehand.
Yes.
So the committee is the opportunity for resources from the town, department heads, township employees to bring consideration, questions. Some of those might be coming from the township itself, some of the workers in the town on what needs to happen, or questions about what should occur. Sometimes it's questions raised by citizens,
Yes.
right? Just residents that have some business that they want to bring before the committee. It's in those committees where those things are sort of discussed, analyzed in conjunction with township employees, and the committee people, the council people that sit on the committee, essentially make their recommendations to the town council.
Yeah.
And then those end up being agenda items on a town council agenda.
Yeah. So those agenda items that we have on there every 2 weeks, they don't just happen by accident.
That's
There's
right.
a lot of discussion that goes on in the background and research and
Sometimes for months
Yeah.
beforehand. That's
yeah,
correct.
and ordinances too. Those don't just end up there willy-nilly, so we say. So yeah, so that's really interesting. So what would you say is something you find rewarding about being a council person?
There's a lot of things that are very rewarding about being a town council person. Like I said before, I will remind everybody it's a ton of work, but being able to engage with the citizens in town through a lot of events is probably the thing that's most enjoyable. I mean, just think about the great time that everybody has at Summerfest, right? And when you're on town council, you get to see all of the hard work that goes into planning events like that. Certainly Summerfest is an event that's on a very big scale, a lot of flash and lights, right? Certainly fireworks and rock bands and whatnot. But we do a myriad of events that are much smaller in scale, right? The longest table that we did last fall, it was fantastic, right? A great opportunity for us as council people, but really our neighbors and all residents to just kind of come together and get to know 6 or 7 people you'd never met or might not have met any otherwise, and just get to know them a little bit, right? So it's those opportunities where we really get to participate in something that's important for a resident, be it a business owner at a ribbon cutting because they're opening a new business, be it just a resident in one of the groups that they participate in that we're supporting, or one of the events that we set up. Those are really the most rewarding things that you can do as a town council person.
Yeah, I have to agree. I thought that was, as a council person and now as mayor, being able to interact with the public and having those conversations about what's important to our community is really a top priority, I know, for our council and for myself. So it's really been great being able to work together to make that happen. Because I know as a mayor, I am a guest at your meetings, but I do think we have a great collaborative effort that really shines through when we have events in our township and we kind of come together for those things. So, or if there's a crisis or anything, we're there to work together to make sure that we're serving the people of our township. So,
That's right.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to share with us about being on council or yourself?
No, I mean, I'm certainly open and available to anybody who'd ever be interested in meeting me, right, either through the town council. I'd encourage all of our residents to participate in any way that you see fit or feel driven to, right? A lot of what we do in town affords folks the opportunity to volunteer in some capacity. I think one of the things that we share in common is our desire to turn what is essentially a very large town, Brick is not small, into a place that feels like a small town, right? Where we can foster connectedness between people that live in town and a kind of community spirit, right? And volunteerism is something that I believe ties everyone to the community that we live in. I think we're unique in that regard, that Brick is, of all of the big cities within the state of New Jersey, a place that still feels very much like a small town, but that's something that I'm very passionate about, right? So I encourage everyone who's thinking about participating in some way to reach out to the town and maybe find a way that you can provide some public service of your own, right? We'd more than welcome it.
We have lots of opportunities, definitely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us on this episode of Great Conversation, and we hope to see you next time. Thanks so much.